Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry we're running a little bit behind. Caucus ran a little bit long. We're going to go ahead and call the roll. I know. I'm sorry.
Senator Albritton, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman, Senator Gudger, Senator Hatcher, Senator Hovey, Senator Kelly, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Chambliss, Senator Elliott.
Here. Thank you very much. We have a quorum, and we'll go ahead and get started. First up is Representative Ingram, who I'm sure would start his committee on time if we were downstairs. I apologize, sir, for the delay.
No, we do what we have to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Committee members. HB 24 is a panhandling lottery public safety bill. We passed it in downstairs. It's already gone to the House. If you look on the copies that we brought in, on the very back page is the vote of what it, on the floor of what it brought, what it passed on. But what this does, basically, everything in there is the same. The only thing we changed in here is the part that is blue on the copies that I handed out. It would be just on state-maintained roads. We had over 800 people get run over on our roads in the state of Alabama. In 2021, 22 stats aren't in from DOT. DOT supports this bill. ALEA supports this bill. We've been working on this bill for about 3 months now. And if there's any questions, be glad.
Okay, so I'm going to have a motion from Senator Chambliss, a second from the chair. So we're going to be on the bill. Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And sorry, Mr. Chairman, while we were having our love fest with each other, of our time spent together in the House, I forgot to ask you a couple of questions. Yes, I just want to, and I looked through, and is there, Mr. Chair, is this a substitute that we have?
No, ma'am.
For the bill?
The sponsor's doing a great job in making sure we understand what the changes are in color.
Oh, that's why we got the
we
second
got it in
one.
color.
Yes, sir.
This
yes,
is what
sir.
we passed,
yes,
and this is what the sub.
And I saw the vote count in the House as well. I just want to make sure, as I was reading through and the new color one, so in my district, oftentimes off of the interstate, off the exit, there may be a school or a nonprofit or somebody that's raising funds right there. Tell me, I see it all the time, especially with my schools, my cheerleaders, my football players out there, with their little buckets getting. Tell me if this bill is going to impact that.
It won't impact that at all. And if you look on the current law is that, you can fish off a bridge. You're not allowed to fish off a bridge, but they still allow it. And it's whatever your local people allow. So if you're raising money and you've got, kids out there, surely you would have the law enforcement out there or security out there.
That doesn't happen all the time.
Well, let's hope it does.
You have parents out there,
yes,
or
you have
sponsors.
Parents out there. On a school function, that would not be included to where they would enforce that and take them.
I think the thing on here that does give me some relief is that law enforcement first has to instruct folks to leave or give them direction prior to any type of arrest. And I think that's the portion that probably gives me just a little bit of relief that you won't have, folks, especially folks that, when I looked at this side, the first thing that came out of my mouth, I said, oh, Lord, we're messing with the poor folks. But it does say, for anybody who hadn't read the bill, it does go on to talk about how law enforcement may give people rides or take them to the services. And that's the portion that helps me with the bill. I still don't know if I will vote for the bill, but it does help me with the bill itself. So with no further question or comment from me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Senator Coleman Madison, did you have a question?
I was just, maybe I don't have the correct copy, or maybe it is a correct copy without the color, so I'm trying to figure out.
May I bring this up, Chairman?
She should have a copy in your binder, and then the one provided by the sponsor is the colored copy that just lets you know the difference between he's just trying to be a really good bill sponsor.
Okay, I borrowed one. It's not color copy, not in mine. So, where does the local municipalities stand on this?
We didn't have any heartburn with the county or the Leda municipality on this bill. We worked with them for 2 to 3 months on it, and no heartburn whatsoever. We had some issues they worked out on liability issues, but everybody seems to be good on it.
Okay, good. Now, I know you said that this is state roads?
It's only
It's gonna-
state maintained
state
roads, no
maintained
county
road.
roads, no city roads, only state maintained roads. Yes, ma'am.
What did you say, where was the protection for the locals? Like if we had a school
It's
that
a-
was doing a drive, or I know like in one of the towns that's in my district, they have the firemen hold the boot out for
So
them.
that's
And it's
county-
on state roads, so.
Well, that would be, something that they would work out locally, knowing that there's something there. It's already in state law. We didn't change anything on the state law. Everything was in. The only thing we added was the part that, that it would be it was state maintained roads. DOTs had a lot of problems with people having burn barrels under the interstate, not being able to get people out of the underpasses, being able to take them to a shelter if needed, And so this has nothing to do with people fishing off bridges or doing like they're doing now. We address that in South Alabama. All that's current law, So if the locals approve it, your locals are enforcing it.
Senator Albritton, you're recognized for a question of the sponsor.
I think that's what he asked. I was talking about the volunteer fire department, the boots and the fundraising, donut sales, those things. So,
Senator Hatcher.
Representative Ingram, we don't always agree on things, but we agree on this one. This is, I think, a good bill because I've seen what happens at 231, and people who are, and I actually stopped one day and just paused to see what happens when people come up. And a lot of times, one of the things I saw committee members was, and I did it more than once, was that I would see Florida license plates where people would come up probably from 231, park a certain distance, and then get out and stand on the roadways.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that happens, we have more aggressive drivers now, and when people are ready to go, they're causing a lot of problems with traffic situations. And so I know it's a delicate dance. My question to you is, did we clear the hurdle with the federal court ruling on this?
Well, this has nothing to do with the ruling. And so the AG's office and the other parties rather had seen the current language back in. We had struck it, but everything's back in now. And that's what the sub was that was on the floor in the House. So both parties wanted that in as far as I found out.
Fair enough. Thank you. Committee members, any more questions for the sponsor? We have a motion and a second already. Clerk, call the roll.
Senator Albritton? Senator Carnley? Senator Coleman? Senator Gudger? Senator Hatcher? Senator Hovey? Senator Kelly? Senator Coleman Madison? Senator Chambliss? Senator Elliott?
Aye. Very good. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Representative
Chairman.
Ingram.
Thank you, members, for the good questions.
Yes,
Y'all have a
sir.
good day.
Next up, we have Representative Bolton, House Bill 276. Welcome to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, House Bill 276, its intent is to change the succession in our county sheriff's departments when you have a sheriff that either dies in office or is removed from office. Right now, under state law dating back to 1852, the county coroner has been designated for replacing the sheriff in the interim until the governor appoints a new sheriff. What this will do is this will amend the code, and it will change it to where the ranking deputy in the sheriff's department takes over instead of the coroner. And also it will take all the references to the coroner being involved in taking over the jail and a couple of other duties also, and it will take that out of the code. The one thing it will not change is the coroner will still be the only person that can arrest a sheriff. We didn't bother with that.
I have a motion by Senator Chambliss, a second by Senator Carley. I have a question by
Yes, sir.
Senator Coleman.
Representative Bolden, I want to thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, how did you find this out? Because
Well, I'm a retired police officer, and I just knew about it, but my sheriff asked me to address it. Now, in Tuscaloosa County, we don't have that. We've got.
people have been talking about constitutional changes for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's situations like this that really opened your eyes. We're lawmakers, but the public, wow. Thank you.
Senator Coleman, would you like to be added to the roll when we do this? I'm going to use the previous roll without objection, and we're going to add Senator Coleman. Bill receives favorable report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is Representative Easterbrook here? He is not. He's got a great bill on the calendar. It is House Bill 310. Senator Hatcher, you want to talk about this for a second?
It is a fantastic bill. Thank you so much.
So moved. I have a motion by Senator Gudger, second by Senator Hatcher, using previous roll without objection. Bill receives favorable report. Thank you. Y'all do a good job. Representative Baker has House Bill 311.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This bill would cite the specific circumstances under which the approval of local government is needed for modifying an existing solid waste management facility. Those specific changes would be on page 4. So if you want to look at that, that's 1 through 5 that are numbered there. This specifies a bill that that was passed last year. Then that was hoping to clean up some of this, did not specify the exact instances, and so this bill does that now. So this is actually trying to clean up on a bill that we had last year.
I have a motion by Senator Chambliss, a second by Senator Carnley. I have a question from Senator Gudger.
Yeah, I want to work with you a little bit on this bill before it's the floor. That's all.
Okay. Senator Coleman Madison.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure, because, you know, in my area, a lot of these illegal landfills or whatever, you have a lot of them that are cropping up. And I know they say, well, we don't have that many illegal, but if you look at Moody, we do. And my concern is that we don't get too far from removing oversight from local government. So again, I'm going to ask the same question that I asked the previous gentleman about the legal municipalities or county municipal government association, because before they come to us, I mean, they're going to go to the local government about these things that are happening. So what guarantee in this bill that is done? I see they review this new facility, but does it change anything other than a new facility that's being built? What?
I don't know that I'm following your question. Now, you're speaking of a new facility?
Well,
because this bill isn't pertaining to new facilities. This is dealing with the modified facilities. But I can speak to you on the new facilities part. This is something that your colleague to your right then, Chairman Albritton, and I both served as part of a solid waste management task force created by executive order under the governor back in 2017, actually 16, and the meetings carried over into 17 and such. But anyway, with that, we changed some of the processes, and with that, we wanted very heavy on the front part, particularly with local approval. And so this goes back to changes that were recommended, and forthcoming was a bill that was passed back in 2017 with that. So that's not really a part of this bill per se, but this bill stems from from actually the locals then that were wanting to know what things that they needed to have their input on, and things that were maybe last year's bill was more with the technical, the non-substantive types of things that would be a part of a application for modifying an existing landfill, and for it not to have to return back to the locals and go through a time-consuming then type of approval in which it was just technical. And so this bill is meant to even clean that up even further.
So are you adding where it says additional acreage? Does that have to go back to the local governments for approval if you're adding additional acreage to this, or are you saying that they don't?
That would be considered needed. That would be above the threshold, so therefore it would need to go back to local approval.
Okay, these things that you have here listed on page 4 would be those things that local government would be involved with or be notified.
It's felt that it met a high enough burden threshold that it needed to go back, return back to the locals for their approval. Otherwise, it felt like the locals were removed from that part of the process. So we wanted to make sure that ensured protection for the locals.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Further questions for the sponsor? Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any objection to using the previous roll? Okay. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Representative Baker. We appreciate you. You're talking about the landfill leachate, man. That brought me back to my county commission days there. That's exciting stuff. Senator Melson, you in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, there you are.
Thank you for making me an honorary member today.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Let's just go ahead and present your bill if we can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill has to do with being able, if you have an agriculture authority and you have TVA lieu of tax money, that you can move it for that project as long as the people reside in that county give consent or make a motion. And that's the substitute, I'm sorry, that we need to.
I have a motion for the sub by Senator Gudger, a second by Senator Carnley. Okay, to adopt the sub using previous role without objection on the sub. Where's it? Sub's in your binder there.
Mr. Chairman, I explained the sub. I apologize, but that was the sub.
Okay, that you were explaining the sub when you explained the bill. I understand. Senator Coleman Madison, you comfortable with that, or you want to make him dance a little bit more? Okay, can you explain a little bit more to my Senator Coleman Madison?
Sure. You know, you have Bessemer.
I do.
Bessemer. You know that TVA provides electricity to Bessemer. Most people don't know that. But anyway, the TVA, Luke, tax money goes to the counties in the Tennessee Valley, and the legislatures are responsible for distributing the money as far as to different entities up there. And this just allows them to move it to an entity like, in this case, Economic Development for an Agriculture Authority, and it allows the members that actually reside in the county to make that decision.
Okay, we've got an motion and a second for the adoption of the sub. We're going to use the previous roll without objection. Okay, the sub's adopted, and then we're on the bill. I have a motion by Senator Carnley, a second by Senator Coleman Madison, using previous roll without objection. Okay, bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Melson. Senator Jones, thanks for sitting in your assigned spot instead of up here. Welcome to the committee. If you could present Senate Bill 258.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of years ago, this committee authorized a one-time audit for a water cooperative. Since then, there has been this administrative ruling, and I'll point you to page 2, line 45, where it said that members of a cooperative were not members of the public. So we just defined and just clarified here that they can audit its members or the public. To me, it's the same, but somebody apparently disagreed with that. So we're fixing that so that what we passed 2 years ago can happen finally.
Yes, ma'am, it would appear to be so. Would you describe that as a technical change?
Technical change, and then Senator Figures, I worked with her on some stuff too for if there's waste, fraud, and abuse, there can be a follow-up. That was important to her, so.
Very good. I have a motion by Senator Chambliss, a second by Senator Hatcher. May we use the previous roll? No objection. Bill receives a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Jones. Senator Kelly, you're up. Senate Bill 255.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is a bill to make it legal for ATVs to all-terrain vehicles to drive on public road by voluntary registering. It does limit the size of vehicles that would be allowed to do there. It does exclude electric bicycles, golf carts, any vehicle used for military, fire, farms, tractors, those types of things. It does cap the county road speed limit as 55 that they would be able to drive on. And the vehicle must be made street worthy by having brakes, headlamps, horn, roll bars, seat belts, other things, windshield, those types of things added to it to make them street worthy. This bill is also would have a limited registered tag to it as well. And this is already legal in some form in approximately 20 states. This bill is very similar to one in Tennessee. Waiting on a couple of amendments that I'm expecting. I don't know if I'm going to get them in time, but we'd like to move forward.
Okay, Senator Kelly, first of all, this sounds like a hoot to me, but there's a few folks that want to talk on it, so we're going to do that. Committee members, if we can we do public hearing and then questions if we can do that? So, and maybe encompass that all in one.
I would have never guessed that there would be anybody concerned about it.
Yeah, well, you know, it wouldn't be this committee if we didn't have some folks that were, you know, interested in talking on our legislation. First up, we have this guy named Sonny Brassfield. Sonny, if you come up. I think he is.
Did you ask if I was a hoot?
If you were new.
If I'm new.
If you were new. That's what Senator Carley wanted to know, if you were new.
This may be my first time up to the microphone this session. And I apologize.
I'm glad to know
that's a great sign, Senator Kelly.
I'm glad I could know that I could accommodate.
I apologize for it taking so long. Just a couple things, Mr. Chairman. As the sponsor and I have talked about this bill a couple of times, as you would anticipate, we're extremely concerned about the liability issues created by allowing vehicles that are not designed for county roads, that are not designed for public roads, that are designed to be in limited circumstances, allowing those folks on the road legally. I think we all recognize that from time to time, people get up on the shoulder and drive from one place to another, drive through the ditch, those kinds of things. It's yet another thing in our view for state government to sanction and approve their travel on county roads. We're extremely concerned about safety. I will remind many of you that the legislature passed a law in 1994 providing that as cities annex, the county roads become city roads, but all the roads inside municipalities prior to 1994, unless they've reached an agreement, those city roads that were county roads then remain county roads and would be subject to this legislation. I think the Foley Beach Express remains a county road as we stand here today. In Shelby County, there are about 10 roads with more than 12,000 cars a day. So we're concerned. We would encourage the committee to think long and hard about this legislation, and we'll continue to talk to the senator for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Brasford. We appreciate you. Sonny was an opponent to the bill, in case y'all couldn't tell that. I'm going to go with a proponent now, and that's Mr. Sammy Galman, if I'm doing that correctly. Welcome to the committee, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity to come here today, and forgive me if I'm a little nervous. I've never been around this many ties except at a funeral. But anyway, I am in favor of this bill, and I ask that you guys consider it. And, you know, I understand that we already have golf carts tagged, and we already have mini trucks tagged, and we have several things. And I'm sure motorcycles, they all share some inherent risk, and I understand that. But I ask that you consider this. I believe it, speaking for the back home in Talladega, we have a large population of people who ride these side-by-sides on the road, and they're doing it now. We just prefer it to be legal, you know. And sure, the roads are not just going to flood with these. You know, most of these are short distances, and I believe it could help in our tourism, especially around Talladega National Forest area. I've been up to Tennessee. A lot of us travel to other states so we can do this, and it's been a success there. So I understand there's inherent risk with it, but I know a fact that it would probably bring a lot of revenue to the state. And I wish y'all would consider it. You know, I feel like, you know, at this time in life, we'd like a little freedom, you know, and feel like each bill seems to take a little bit away. So I wish y'all would consider it and remember us folks who, and it's a pretty large family. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming. Next up, we have an opponent of the bill, Justin Barfield. Justin, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'm nervous as well. It's my first time, so bear with me. My name is Justin Barfield. I'm the Geneva County Engineer. I've been a county engineer for 21 years. I also past president of Association of County Engineers of Alabama. So Sonny had asked if I would speak a little bit on from an engineering standpoint. So first off, I'm over 900 miles of roads in South Alabama, 500 miles of 500 miles of dirt road, 400 miles of paved road. Off the bat, with the amount of unpaved roads that I have, when the rain comes, so the wheelers side by sides. So you know, I'm not condoning everybody, but when the rains come, the amount of dirt roads that I have, a lot of damage occurs. And when the damage occurs, of course, when it dries up, first calls I get is mobilized equipment, whether it's motor graders, backhoes, excavators, reestablish ditch lines, smooth out the roads, etc. So that's the dirt road standpoint from it. Moving on to the unpaved roads, you know, what I've noticed and seen, and prior to coming, I spoke to our sheriff, and he said since January 1st, he's had 27 complaints about side-by-sides and ATVs on the roads. We've had one fatality in the past 12 months, and one of our local police chief just lost his 13-year-old son in Coffee County to a rollover. But with the paved roads, what you'll notice is, you know, in a perfect world, your cars, your trucks, everybody stays on a paved road. With the side-by-sides and ATVs, it may be, you know, on the paved road, ditch, paved road, ditch. So that gets into, you know, erratic driving. Also, when they get on the shoulders, the front slope, the ditch, the back slope, it could increase erosion as well too during rain events and so forth. So that we have concerns about that. Not only when you get off onto the right of way, you have cross drain pipes, you have head walls, you have non-breakaway objects such as power poles, etc. Speed limit 55 miles per hour and under. My concern on that is coming from a rural county with limited resources and for resurfacing roads. In a standard travel lane, you've got rutting that occurs from semi-trucks, standard cars. These type vehicles have a more narrower wheelbase, so once you get into a rut and you're traveling at speeds, it could create some swaying issues that would encourage rollover type accidents. So we do have some concerns about that. And final conclusion, just the law of physics. You have a 2,000-pound vehicle versus 80,000-pound log truck. There's no room for error when you have any kind of head-on or T-bone type accident. So, and I'm representing several other county engineers and assistant county engineers in this room, and we would just ask you to consider these thoughts.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to committee. Senator Kelly, I told you it sounded like a hoot, but I think they got some good points too. Let's open it up to members and see if they've got some questions for you or some comments, and then hop back to what you'd like to do with your bill there. Senator Coleman Madison.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Elliott, I understand. I think I had spoken with you. I know that there are some people that want it and some don't. In urbanized areas, it would be a problem for the ones that are even on the road now. There are things that they do, again, like off the road, simply because they can. I suggested that we make this permissive. I will be bringing an amendment to this, that it would allow the local county or local governments to decide if this is something, because again, it has to be policed. There is an issue of damage to roads and things like this. So they understand that that is a responsibility that they would have if they permitted it. But it would allow those persons or cities that would want it to vote in favor of it, and those who did not feel that it would be a safe option for them to not, allowing it to be permissive, that each county or municipality would vote.
Thank you, Senator. That's actually, this is legal in approximately 20 states to various forms and degrees, and several of the states that are not included in that 20 have exactly what you're talking about, where the local municipalities decide whether they want it or not, and would certainly be open to that. And that's a way to address some of the, like the concerns the gentleman brought up about the 80,000-pound truck coming up. And I'd like to remind you, if I could revert back to my childhood, and I don't know if you can see this, but right now you can legally ride this on a county road. I don't know where the concern is about somebody in an 80,000-pound truck hitting something like this. So that's kind of my point with this. You do have roll bars and things of that nature to protect you. Also provides insurance. It is elective, wouldn't have to do it, and you would also have to maintain insurance in that case. Now, since I've been here, I was expecting an amendment, and it has not got here, but I do know that it's being worked on. And since I've been here, I've got two other offers for amendments. So, Mr. Chair, I would request that we table this and then move that we table this to give me a chance to work on that. And
let's carry it over. How about
Carry it over.
Carry it over.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna help you out there.
Thank you.
We're gonna carry it over. Senator Coleman, do you have a comment for?
I do. Thank you so much, because as we're working, I don't know a whole lot about off-road vehicles. I just don't. But so my question is there a age limit for folks that would be driving this vehicle on the road?
Well, there's a minimum age. You'd have to have a driver's license just as you would to drive any other automobile.
Okay, thank you. I had no idea. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Secondly, though, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Now, this is the final comment. I actually did get a phone call from my own county manager in Jefferson County. That echoed a lot of the same concerns that Mr. Brassfield brought up today, especially when it comes to the county liability. I was wondering why you didn't bring it as a local piece of legislation if it was something that was specifically for your area. But I think Coleman Madison's amendment, if that goes on there with the permissiveness, will help at least what I would want to happen in my own county, where my county folks are saying this is something that they don't want at all.
Well, thank you for that. There are parks around the state where you have as many as 3,000 of these that come a time, and they're usually maintained riding in these large parks. And ironically, and I shared this with Mr. Brassfield this morning on my way down here, I come through Calhoun, Talladega, Sylacauga, all the way down the line, and I was behind two of these this morning, one right outside of Talladega, the other one right outside of Sylacauga, on my way, and they are currently illegal to be on the road, but it's not stopping them from being on the road. What this would do is require them to have insurance. So that is one option. I do think what you brought, like I say, that's already done in some states. So I do think that is something to consider. And I think the other two may be a possibility. I don't know that Mr. Brassfield and his group would entertain it anymore with that, but I'm certainly willing to listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Senator Kelly, back in the day, Senator Hawley was sitting in this chair, and I would come up with a great idea, and Senator Hawley would slow me down a little bit, if you can believe that.
I can feel the pontificating.
And he would say, "Come on, let's talk about this, and let me talk to you about how this is going to work and where you got some problems and some issues that may cause you some serious issues later on down the road." So, I'm going to play Jimmy Hawley today. We're going to carry your bill over, but there's some pitfalls here. I like where you're headed, but I think we can work on some pitfalls, and I just want to help you with that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, what I wanted to do in my intent in this matter was, if there was any doubt about your leadership as chairman, I wanted to make sure that was clarified, that you were fully capable of carrying out those duties, sir.
You're kind, sir. I appreciate it.
I tried to
Bill's carried over. This committee's adjourned. Turn off the man's mic.